Ready?
Right, change in the order. Resident services, that's a reminder.
That's good. Let's call out Housing Authority Board of Commissioners meeting to order. Tuesday, May 12th. Any kind of concerns?
Well, let me just, if I can start, just on my Mr. Chair. First of all, I want to welcome Betsy back. I'm going to leave it up to her as to whether or not she was for it's nice to I can chair. I can do the director chair. I also really pleased to introduce Stacy. Stacy is our new SNASH coordinator for the Templewood Court Sheldon Towers panel. So I'll turn it over to Stacy if you'd like to introduce yourself to the board.
So I'm Stacy Hess, and I just was in here yesterday from Oklahoma because I had a new grandson born there. Okay, it's an exciting time. And so my background really comes from administrative. I worked in administration for several years of my life. And in fact, I started out with a big company called Cox Communications, but it wasn't that big company when I started. And then it got bought out by Cox Communications. And so I worked in telecommunications for about 15 years. And I decided that I just kind of wanted to do a change. I've done that for a very long time. I decided that, the medical world doesn't ever go away, and there's always a need for somebody in that world. And so I did become a medical assistant. And so with my administrative abilities and my medical assistant abilities, kind of really set me up for a good future in that field. I did work in a hospital at one time. I worked for a program just like this in Colorado, and worked that for about 6-7 years and really enjoyed it. And of course, COVID hit, and that made a change in everything. So I am very comfortable with my background and being here, and I feel like I'm going to be able to be supportive administratively to the program. And I feel like that with my medical background, that I'll be able to help coordinate care for people who might need a little bit of navigation. And so I'm very excited to be here and looking forward to a bright future.
Welcome.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
This is our second transplant from Oklahoma. And Stacy, if anything like the last one, we can anticipate good things from the Templewood Court Sheldon Towers panel. Good. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
No problem. Any kind of concerns?
A couple of people have approached questioning the takedown of the fencing around trash containers. Concerned about high winds knocking it over because we do have fox and different critters that come on the property. So I wasn't sure where we were going with that, but I said I would bring it up to make everyone aware that there are concerns about trash being strewn or wild animals getting in and causing havoc. So
I'm happy to address that unless you'd like to go ahead.
I was just gonna add that Peter Harrington did come look at the area. He dropped us off fencing samples, but we were waiting until we knew what was going on with the electrical upgrade
okay.
to install new ones.
So it just may be a different type of fencing or a way to harm.
Deeper. The sonotubes weren't poured deep enough, so they pushed out of the ground. That's what was making them all get destroyed.
So we'll, keep the group informed. But as Captain pointed out, we want to make sure that nothing conflicts with the electrical grids. That is in the work plan.
We got to dig down to bedrock and tie it.
Yeah.
That will be related, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And maintenance has been instructed to do a morning walk around.
Okay. Okay.
Don't stop with the bird seed and bears won't come.
And then one other thing about tenant concerns. Apparently some misinformation was shared as a result of our meeting last month. around the testing results here at the Templewood Court, and I want to assure you that thus far, everything is, the results that we're getting back are fine. This information shared, and I've spoken with the tenant involved, to let them know that, they should verify information before they spread it around the shopping cart. Sites.
Anything else?
No, that was the only thing, Barbara.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Approval of the minutes from the meeting April 20th, 2026.
Mr. Chair, I just have one revision. It's a small one, on page, the board packet, page 8, under section 8 program report, corrective action place, corrective action plan. So I'll make that revision to the final copy, and it doesn't require us still signing it.
Correct. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Yes.
Well, the president's 2027 budget proposal has been released. I will remind folks that this is more of a political document than a vote ultimately passed through Congress, but some of the highlights, proposing a $10.7 billion cut from the HUD budget, which is about 12.7%. There's a lot of concerns regarding. It would eliminate the community development block grant program, the home program, any funding for homeless assistance, and would also eliminate the emergency housing grants, as well as the elimination of all self-sufficiency grants, which frankly we rely on from the resident services program. There's also work requirements that are being proposed, and that would be, I'll talk more about that. Prohibition on issuing any new vouchers, regardless of your budget authority. And there's also a proposal to re-benchmark the existing care cost units that are up in a number of housing authorities, including ours. As you recall, we have 55 care cost units that we are going to we continue to utilize to support new construction. We talked about self-sufficiency. Self-sufficiency is particularly concerning in light of the work requirement, try to support tenants in acquiring work if they don't have those necessary supports in place. There is, again, going back to work requirements, there's also a proposal for term limits. Work requirement would be 20 hours a week per able-bodied individual, 18 to 62, unless they're excluded as a result of a disability, for example. And there would be a 5-year limit with that work requirement. That being said, the administration is proposing an expansion to the moving to work. Moving to work is I would say, innovative exemption for public housing authorities to really design their own program to best meet the needs of the local community. There's only one moving to work agency in Vermont, and that's the Vermont Rural Housing Authority. And, I think they experienced some success as a result of.
Didn't they have that?
We have,
Component,
yeah.
we had some people down
It's a family subsidiary.
at.
Yeah. As I said, housing authorities would be barred from issuing any new vouchers further notice, except for the couple of specific areas, family unification vouchers, which are designed to as one would suspect, get families back together. Sometimes as a result of, DCF coming in and taking children out of homes. Sometimes it's a parent that's been incarcerated. There would also be an exception for what is now called the Melania Trump Foster Youth Independence Program. Also, it's to, they renamed that program the Melania Trump Foster Youth Program. No comment. And then there are also some additional restrictions around rental assistance and administration. This would not be retroactive. Impact us. There's been a proposed reduction to have set-asides. The set-asides are in part what funds shortfall funding, and that we're looking to cut that in half from 400 million down to 200 million. The anticipated proration, there is some disagreement around the Section 8 proration for administrative fees. That's what funds operations. The administration is saying that it will be prorated for eligibility. Industry projections have set that number closer to 80%. And we are coming in cut to administrative fees. I won't get too far into the new criteria for eligibility for set-aside funding. There is actually it's already been implemented. As you may recall, there's two major types of vouchers for us. One is a housing choice voucher. The other is a mainstream program for people with disabilities, and they are proposing that those two programs be merged under one contract. There are some challenges there because generally the mainstream program units are cost more than the traditional housing choice voucher unit. And we talked about work requirements and firm limits. Each able-bodied person within a household would have to work 20 hours a week. So Americans have to work 30 hours a week. Here, but there are a couple of other items. Talk about elimination of the community development block grant, the home program, the housing trust fund, other programs that we participate in, so I won't go on about those. Really some cuts for the homeless assistance solution grants. A major source of funding for things like the Homeless Prevention Center. And that includes the good news for the other item that's in your packet is from the product advocate, and this addresses the compliance. The new date for HOTMA compliance to agree to the major provisions to be 1/27. I can tell you that no one is ready for that implementation date. Mostly HOTMA is pushing this forward without the necessary systems in place to monitor and manage the program. But nothing of the impact that it's going to have on housing authorities, because none of the guidance has really been fully issued, and it is going to be the source of massive confusion for our tenants. I think what we'll do is next month we'll do a sort of HOTMA overview again, so that you're aware of what those changes are going. So with that, I'll turn it back over to you, Mr. Chair.
Motion for the consent agenda, Ms. Mark? Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Also, in your board packet, you'll find on page 37, the new HUD income limits, which by law have to go into effect on May 1st, 2026. This is the regional limits that determine eligibility if you fall outside of the AMI. Primarily, essentially none of our programs would take in. Generally speaking, they've just gone up modestly, certainly not in keeping with the actual market. But we do require a board resolution adopting these income limits, even though they're regulatorily mandated. So
We have a resolution on the agenda. Resolution 2026-5 to approve the RJ income limits for 2026 effective May 1st, 2026. These are HUD income limits.
Yep.
Any further discussion?
was there a second? I didn't.
Oh, sorry.
Yes. Okay, we'll do that one to Carl. So
I thought I heard a mumble, but I was, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. CEO report.
I'm pleased to report we have managed to finalize a conciliatory agreement with the Vermont Human Rights Commission. We can get into that in greater detail in executive session. But the biggest concern that we had was the commission's attempts to fundamentally rewrite the reasonable accommodation policies and procedures, which would have had spillover effect to all PHAs in Vermont, and indeed they could use it as precedents in other parts of the nation. We're able to remove all that language, and essentially the agreement is that we will comply with HUD guidance, which is what we've done all along. So it'll be good to have that behind us. We just want the waiting signature from the tenant, and we'll be able to. The Temple Court electoral report yesterday. There was a meeting of the Mount Housing Conservation Board of Directors, and that they voted unanimously to fund our request for $439,325 towards the gap that currently exists with the Temple Court.
50 cents.
And 47.2 cents. As it turned out, we rescheduled this meeting thinking that I would need to head up to Montpelier for the board meeting with PHCB. I didn't have to go up, so my apologies, but that was sort of last minute information. Kevin and I made a decision to stick with whether to confuse the matter. In fact, I didn't say anything. I just monitored the meeting. The proposed grant ended up on the consent agenda. It wasn't even subject to discussion. As I said, they voted unanimously. The final piece of the puzzle is the community development block grants update for about community development program use on June 11, and that will be the final piece of the funding necessary to implement the Temple Court upgrades. We continue with the environmental review prior to embarking on the project. As I said earlier, both the asbestos and lead results are in, and there's no need for remediation. Minimal amounts as far as the asbestos goes. It's a joint compound, and no lead, thankfully. Or at least no lead that requires remediation. The only results that are pending are the radon testing, and we hope that'll be in the next week or two. There is some additional testing that is required. I've lived in Vermont all my life, and I don't recall a dry cleaner on the left-hand side of Woodstock Avenue. We all know that Filippo's was on the right-hand side, but apparently there was one on the left-hand side.
The bank and.
Is that what it was? Yeah.
Graphics in that area. I don't know.
I don't know where, but there's also done a couple
I
of,
don't know what it is,
there are a couple of gas stations, one where the Dunkin' Donuts is located, and then there's another one a little further up the street.
Carl, you're older than Kevin. What, do you recall?
Ouch, ouch.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I'm young. I have no idea.
No, I couldn't go to the big city. There's no evidence of this.
With the ball clear down there.
Yeah. There's no evidence of contamination, but we do need to do what's called the vapor testing, just to make sure. So that's an add-on to what we've done thus far. Just moving on to the Otis elevator update. I don't recall the exact date. I think it was last Wednesday or the Wednesday before, maybe. We put Otis on Otis elevator on notice that we are canceling our maintenance contract with them. We don't know what their response is going to be at this point. We're working with an attorney up in Burlington who has a lot of experience with Otis, and he feels confident in the wording of the renewal, but more importantly, the breach of contract. They don't have a leg to stand on, but we'll see what their response is to our application. We have a maintenance contract that's currently under legal review for Mac Brothers. Yeah, Mac Brothers Elevator. They were just extraordinary during the challenges that we've had with the Otis. They actually came in, thanks to Gretchen's persuasion. They came in and made repairs that Otis was simply unable to make. And then when the final repairs to the B elevator, which is the larger of the two, we experienced some issues there. They once again came in and corrected Otis's work. We hope to.
We have them send a bill to Otis.
That's what I'd like to do, yeah, along with the overtime that we incurred as a result of elevator breakdowns and whatnot. So we're anxious to move forward with that. Wilson, yeah, and they, you know, and frankly, they're eating Otis's lunch. Most of, and I mean most of the technicians that previously worked for Otis, they have a significant pool of talent, and we very much look forward to continuing to work with them. Just another note that didn't end up on the agenda as it relates to the elevators. We do have a pending request Senator Sanders' office for some congressionally designated spending to go in and do a complete modernization of the elevators, including the boxes called car, cab, whatever. So that is we're anxiously awaiting word from Senator Sanders. And then as yet another footnote to that, I didn't want to move forward, as you can imagine, gun shy, so to speak, with those elevators. So we are contracting with a firm out of Boston, specializes in elevators. That's all they do. They don't do any repairs or installation. They simply assess current systems. So I'd like to have that done before we finalize contract for the complete modernization, just to make sure that everyone is on the same page. Everyone knows what needs to happen. So I anticipate hearing from them soon. It's essentially a capital needs assessment, but directed exclusively at the elevator systems. The Sash Grow Retreat took place last week up in Barry. The DRO stands for the Designated Regional Housing Organizations, of which we are one. We cover Rutland County. And this is an annual opportunity for the directors of all the DROs to get together to address a number of items. One of the things that we did look at was the data of each of the DRO regions, and I've included in your board packet the results for Rutland County. In 2025, 9,150 individual visits were made to SAC participants. And you can see the breakdown comparison between 2024 and 2025 as it relates to a number of indicators. Then in some areas, up on that, in others, you were down a bit. And much of this is dependent on the participant population, and frankly, just the trends that we're seeing in the overall health status of folks who participate in SLAC. Carol will expand on that report. We have completed all the necessary paperwork for the what is being called the Housing Assistance Program. This is a program that was set up by the legislature during the Budget Adjustment Act, and it allocates $5 million to housing authorities who can demonstrate that in the face of reduced funding to the public, terminating Section 8 program participant contracts. So. We receive continual additional guidance from it's actually the Department of Human Services, which was sort of an odd place for it to end up, but it didn't have enough. Just a reminder that Rutland Community Housing 1 LP, or Hickory Street Phase 1, is coming up on the end of their tax credit compliance period. The future of Phase 1 will be determined as we develop the transition plan. But at this point, I'm projecting that the housing authority will continue to manage the property, to ground lease on the property, but the actual ownership I have secured our friends at Lena Kavanaugh, who is the law firm that assisted in the mixed finance aspect of that project some 15 years ago, and with the same attorney, and we both questioned where the last 15 years went. So yeah, it's amazing. And then subsequently, over the next few years, Phase 2 and Phase 3 will end their compliance period, and we will assume ownership of the entire property. Some good news to that end is that a lot of the necessary compliance activities that were implemented as a result of the long-term housing tax credit program will go away. So, but our agreement with the Vermont Housing Conservation Board for perpetual affordability will require annual reporting. We haven't heard much about House Bill 772, which is currently in the Senate. As time goes by, we're less and less confident that the bill will make it out of Senate committee. Maybe to monitor that, as I said last month and the month before, there are provisions that are advantageous for landlords. There are provisions that are advantageous for tenants, and I suppose an indication of still is good that nobody's happy. but, you know, there are some things that we are particularly interested in, probably most notably is the ability to issue no trespass orders. Demonstrated destructive behavior at our sites. For those of you who've been around for a while, I won't name names, but at least 3 of the 5 of you. You may remember a fellow by the name of Jerry Weebolt. He is from a firm called Right Track Design. His firm has expanded considerably over the last few years. He is sort of the guru, one of the gurus as it relates to capital needs assessments. Indeed, he did the original capital needs assessments for all 3 Hickory phases. We have contracted with him to do virtually all of our sites. We want a baseline to determine what our capital needs are going to be over essentially the next 20 years, but more importantly, the next 5 years. So he'll be doing all 3 Hickory, Sheldon, Dunkwood, added Bridge. Bridge was opened in 2020, so it's really time to revisit that site to determine what is going to be needed over the next few years. They are coming the first week of June. Staffing update, as you know, Stacy, the first day was today, so initiation through fire, I guess. Carol is working on board her along with the People Square Corporation, who provides a new coordinator orientation and training materials. So we're happy to have Stacy on board. We have one open position that is the essentially the customer service and Carol's not here. Customer service and something special. Nice to get that position filled, and that Stacy is going to backstage, and that Cheryl will be providing much needed administrative support. PPD programs. Lot going on. We have finalized the contract with a firm out of Springfield, Burlington area. It's a large firm, and they will be performing our Section 8 unit inspections. We did the cost benefit analysis and feel like this is a good move. They'll be essentially $120 for each unit they inspect. We'll be providing them, or hopefully they'll have one, but either way, they'll be entering the inspection results on a tablet. And then those results will automatically get uploaded into the PHA web systems. Right now, John Jordan is doing our unit inspections out in the community. Where he's the address. We did receive word, I think late last week, that HUD has allocated an additional $15,818 for in shortfall funding for our mainstream program, which is welcome. Because HUD has sort of put on pause the shortfall prevention team efforts, more specifically the one that was assigned to us. It is difficult to determine whether we are completely on a shortfall for housing choice voucher mainstream based on the analysis that our fee account has done. And frankly, the work that Carla has done, we are pretty confident that we are not only on a shortfall, but are in a good position. Financially for that program, the downside, as I said earlier, is that if the current administration maintains their position of no community subs for Section 8, not really going to matter which money we have. As I said, well, that moratorium is currently in place, and we don't know if it's going to be lifted. Certainly, the president's proposal is to not issue any new vouchers. Things are very much up in the air there. We finally received our renewal funding notice. So again, bear in mind that mainstream twice have been merged into one contract, if you will. This came in on Friday. Our renewal funding for 2026 is $3,400,000. No, $3,411,742. The accountant to do some analysis to determine whether or not it's going to meet our current needs around currently participating section contracted holders. So I'll have a report on that next month. We talked about CMAP last month, and Carl and I have made the decision to postpone CMAP for 2026, and more specifically, the confirmatory review of how we provide, in that we don't want to waste their time. I'm going to let Carlo report on section 8. We have made significant progress in cleaning things up, but we're not there yet. So we're going to postpone that. A lot of controversy right now, due largely to the decision that I made. Effective next year, we will no longer accommodate window-mounted air conditioners, or rather, part of the air conditioners are indoor air conditioners with evaporators. So there's no need to empty them. But this decision was made for multiple reasons. One is the deterioration of our building exteriors. If you drive by Sheldon Towers, you will notice there's a significant amount of staining on the exterior. In addition to the staining that compromises stucco. So certainly Sheldon Towers was a force. But those criteria, along with the safety concerns that we have, resulted in providing tenants with a 1-year notice. Not a decision that's been fully embraced, but we will continue to educate tenants as to the rationale. And we are currently investigating different models that we can recommend. And I may come back to the board with a suggestion that we start a rental program. So it lessens the financial impact on tenants. Tenants would essentially rent this self-contained indoor air conditioning unit rather than having to incur the cost of buying one themselves. Not all of that is worked out, but we're certainly committed to moving in that direction.
Is that this summer or?
Next summer, we're providing folks with over a year notice, but even at that, before.
I have a question on the panels themselves. Are these double windows that go up, air conditioning, under?
It's primarily, for most of our sites, which include, Templewood, increased rates is off the table because that's air pump and has both heat and AC. In the case of Sheldon Towers, there are actual penetrations through the walls where the air conditioner gets mounted, because the windows at Sheldon are the sliding touch, not like a double one. And the additional benefit to that is those penetrations will be permanently sealed because historical experience, energy costs, and fire concerns. So it's really a win-win-win all the way around.
The tenants don't actually own.
They do.
They do. Penetration.
Yes, in all cases, we do not, again, with the exception of heat pump, heated and cooled, all air conditioning units are tenant.
Were they all done at once?
Which is
Installation of the air conditioner? Did everybody?
Oh, are they all done at once? Yeah, we, this time of year, in fact, we send notice out, do not attempt to install your window mounted air conditioner, because we want to make sure that it's installed safely and that there's, any,
It's gonna be good, it's gonna be quite hot, still closing all those up.
it is, but, when we did the unit renovations some years back, we, part of the contract was for the, construction of, an internal plug, if you will. So it won't be as bad as, because the primary piece is already in or in storage for every unit. It'll be more the weatherization piece.
Sure. So you're gonna have one next week. Having them buy them instead.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, that is the option. Yeah, I mean, that is first, yeah, that is our intent is for folks to buy one. They have a year and a half or so, a year and 2 months to save up. But if someone is circumstances unable to do that, then we will provide rental AC units, but for the most part,
Could they buy those rental units?
that's a
I
good
mean, they're
idea.
paying.
That's a good
for it
idea.
Anyway.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Paid toward the.
Yeah, pay towards this, yeah, that's a great idea. We have, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I have so many questions about this,
Okay.
and concern.
Mhm.
One, I have a lot of friends that have used the portable ACs in their homes and gotten rid of them. And I followed up with reports. They're not energy efficient. So if that's part of what we're going toward, the cost for energy here and housing is going to increase. Two, there's two different styles, the one hose or the two hose.
Mhm.
The one hose runs at this point around 300. The two hose, we're looking at 500 or 600. There's a pretty big gap of what people here make.
Mhm.
For those of us at the bottom end, like me, here, you could tell me 5 years from now to save up for this, and I'm not gonna have enough time. Because every extra penny I've got goes into my car. Literally. Or my dog. Literally. So I'm really kind of confused too, because we had this big, huge community meeting and we talked about the funding that was available for the upgrades and all the studies that would be done. And then we were going to be getting mini splits like you all have in here in our apartments. Heating and cooling, so that would have been much more efficient. So I'm confused of why that changed.
Can I interrupt this for a minute so we can address some of your concerns? I think you'll find that there's been significant improvements in the technology, both around energy efficiency and capacity. As far as the mini split, that is not part of the project. That is a long-term goal that the electrical upgrades will position us to implement at some point. So, no, the heat pumps were not part of the initial project, nor was it presented as such.
That's a misunderstanding to a lot of us tenants, and we were all excited. Two of the other big problems are we have very limited plugs because we don't have our electrical upgrades yet. So we have a whole wall between the living room and the kitchen where we have a limited place to plug in this portable AC. And it leaves us only being really able to put it in one place.
Sure.
Right? You know, you can't do it in the bedroom again because there'll be a hose and we have crank windows.
But again, if you don't
I'm
mind,
talking about space. You come to my apartment. It will not be safe to put another big unit in my very small apartment. For that reason and so many, I'm totally against this.
As far as the outlets go, part of the electrical upgrades are to ensure that there are, that the placement of outlets will meet code. Right now, it doesn't meet code because there's not enough outlets, but there'll be multiple new outlets installed as a result of the upgrades.
So you're here for this conference.
I am
Okay. We're talking.
within.
We're talking about
All property taking, okay. That was a Sheldon Towers.
But that's why we gave us over a year to continue to study and evaluate what the best options are. Next summer.
Test model. Some of them here that you can see how it goes with some.
No.
No?
Oh, well, touch model at our expense, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good,
If there's improvements over the years that you could see as trial, how well they look.
And even all of the consumer reports that I've read from now, they're saying they're not energy efficient. And that they still have to be emptied with water. And there are residents here that would not be able to do that safely.
we're sensitive to that, and there are new models that are self-evaporating. So it would not require ongoing, maintenance in the way of emptying the.
And you're talking this to a group of people at the lowest of the low income.
Yeah. But again, we're doing additional research and we'll, we want to give people the heads up. But in the meantime, we're doing additional research. Given the safety and safety issues and property damage, you know, this is not unique to. And I would ask you to look at the Sheldon Towers exterior, which is.
And then I understand that it's a very different situation than Templewood. So maybe we could consider starting there
Well,
and seeing how that goes and letting us have our AC on because our exteriors are pretty good here.
and we have invested considerable money in painting and refinishing the exteriors. So,
And so Kevin, I would, in response to you, and I get that funding wise, it may be difficult for a lot of our tenants and all of our. But if we go with the plan as suggested in a possible look into the rental. Right now, we all pay an additional $15 a month for 4 months out of the year when we have our ACs installed. We could maybe keep that amount because everybody has been comfortable with paying the $15 and using that as a rent with option to buy kind of deal. If that tenant should move out or God forbid, go to nursing home or pass away, it would just start over with a new tenant for that rental.
Charlie, have you had enough time with this to offer any insights, or are you implementing this year?
Oh, no, we went 3 years ago to no window units. What we did was made a commitment to purchasing. We looked at our income of our residents, realized the people who could not afford to purchase one. We purchased that number. We wrote a small grant, just a local grant to help us do it. And the Housing Authority made the commitment that this was important to do because we have brick buildings in the water. And so we have, all it costs our residents is $75 a year to have one of our units. That includes the electricity, the install, and the takeout of the unit. And sort of the machine itself. But we don't do an option to buy because this needs to become a rolling fund. So that when yours dies, we have money set aside to purchase more. And if none of them die, which the normal lifespan of a good portable air conditioner is 5 to 6 years. So in 5 to 6. Well, and if I could speak to the electricity charge, what we noticed by going to the portables, our electric bill went down. Because people are using air conditioners that are 10, 15, and 20 years old. The window model. So we experienced just the opposite. But anyways, we built the fund so that when we have to, we also negotiated with Home Depot. You can do, if you give me the price I want, I will buy
X amount.
X amount of them, and they rose to the church.
So you remind me,
We also purchased extras with people's commitment in writing that they wanted to buy one and accepted a payment plan.
so yeah, there's a lot of opportunity to make this as kind of friendly as possible. The other thing I'll say is that although we've taken a break from the HAI group, the loss prevention fund, because we have been successful for the last 3 years. And last year we received the single largest grant in the program's history. And that was directed towards our capital court upgrades. Next year we can, I think, build a pretty strong case between safety and avoiding property damage to cover this in our grant application. So, one other item that I want to report on is that over the months, over the last few months, actually longer than that, we're finding an excessive number of rent statements that are coming back. As you know, the postage for first class mail is now 74 or 78, 74 cents. So between the waste, the cost, and the volume of staff time that it takes on a monthly basis to issue and mail out statements. July 1st, we'll be discontinuing rent statements. Tenants know what their rent is. So there's really no need to spend an invoice every month. It's costly and time consuming. That being said, we do have a number. I think that number is around 13 to 16. 12. We have 12 tenants with rep payees, and we'll continue to generate invoices for the rep payees because many organizations have an invoice in order to write a check for a tenant that they represent. You know, we're as I reported earlier, and you'll see later in the agenda, there is just we need to tighten our belts. So looking for every opportunity without impacting on the quality of the services we provide. Sarah. No. Okay. And that, Mr. Chairman, concludes my rather lengthy report.
This one.
That's that. Yeah. Moving on.
We're gonna move,
Yeah, let's move resident services since Carol is a new employee that.
You're up, Carol.
So, I'm thrilled that Stacy is starting. I think she's gonna be a great fit. I look forward to getting her started this morning, and we have a busy day ahead. Secondly, the end of April, myself and a couple other SASH staff members went to the New England Resident Service Coordinators Conference, and it was well received by them. They were thrilled on the son, and I think one of them even would like to attend another conference. Yeah, they do an excellent job. It's really grown over the years. I preferred it when it was a little bit smaller. The venue was always nice. It was always in a different state. States, it was usually by the water or But it was great. It's the first time I had been, I think, since 2020 that I've been out to corporate conferences. So it was great. One of our staff nurses is out on personal matters, and she is doing a little bit of work from home, but primarily our staff and orientation manager, Laura, is covering some of her assessments and nurse talks and such. We recently got notified that one of our staff coordinators in the cornerstone panel just gave her notice. Her last day is May 15th, so we'll have an open part-time position available. We're searching on. What else? So the highlights for the most part.
That's the only thing I would add, Carol, and this, you may or may not be aware of it, but it's an important report out from the drill meeting. The environmental health grant that funds mental health coaches for our SASH panels is coming to an end. That's the bad news. The good news is that Senator Sanders has agreed to include funding continuation of that program through congressionally designated spending.
Neighbor.
Happens there, yeah, exactly.
So it's not a done deal yet.
Nothing on the other stuff to work with.
Gave you bad news, but gave you the flip side.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Good deal.
You catch-
It's always a way to
You're picking up what he's putting down.
Yeah. Thank you, Carol.
Thank you, Carol. Section 2, reports and discussion items like finance.
Yep, we, as is always been the case for years. There's no March budget actuals because March is the end of the fiscal year. There is a slow report in black folders, really not much here there. And again, it's contingent upon the budget, so there may be some revisions.
Occupancy report.
And since the last board meeting, Gretchen and I have just left 4 new tenants at Shelby Cappers, one here at Templewood. Additionally, you notice on the board, we have several more units that need to be turned over and made ready to re-rent. Maintenance has quite a few of those almost done. So as soon as I get those completed, we will have those leased up. As you'll see, we have initials for people that we have intentions to put into those units. There has been a significant number of transfers, and unfortunately, that's recently. So that's why, we've had a lot of excessive amount of unit turnover recently. That's why the board has so many numbers on it, unit numbers on it. So we're working towards that. We'll have those leased up as soon as they are turned over. Carla and I are working, Carla at this point, working through the Section 8 Housing Choice voucher program. Some of the stuff that need to be taken care of there. I'm just kind of providing assistance when I can for her with that process. Working on the annual compliance reporting with M&R Spectrum, as well as the Housing Conservation Board. That is just, I'm waiting to hear back from them on that to there, or they want me to do rather. Yeah, for my report, and just see the numbers down below or the current number of people on our waiting list for all of our different programs, so.
And just a reminder,
Yeah,
the Section 8 housing choice voucher wait list reflects people who are on the list prior to our closing the wait list. Yeah.
Property management.
So I was able to come to an agreement with two tenants that we had. And, agreements that one would relocate on their own will and change, the other one could stay in the building, so we're doing that as soon as the Forest Street, Maplewood, or whatever it's called, is opening, or one is going there. I did go to court last Wednesday, it was kind of what I meant to. It's a couple, legal aid would represent one, but not the wife, but not the husband. So while the judge ordered the escrow agreement, it only covers the wife. So Shannon, our lawyer, was looking into what we needed to do, shall they fall through the escrow, how we can get the husband out. He's thinking it can all be done in one shot, but we're not positive on that one.
Is it a divorce statute?
No, it's just legal aid had a conflict with him. So they wouldn't represent him.
If she's working, he's not, no.
So we're anxious to see how that plays out. The judge was kind of good. She makes things a little.
Who's that, Carl?
No.
No, we wish Carl was.
Go, pay your rent.
Yeah, there's a, this for being recorded here. This judge has a rather unique interpretation of the law, so.
That's not bad.
We did quite a few unit turnovers, and lease ups, so bridge is now officially filled with the exception of Mentor Connector has one efficiency that's open, but she brings that out without pretty soon.
When we do the turnover, we're painting all of them, painting in certain areas.
Mr. Chair, yeah, given the volume of, unit transfer requests, and the relative backlog of units that need to be turned over, I would start the maintenance to only address those things that are absolutely required versus the complete unit turnover where everything gets painted, everything gets, and again, that's in part a function of cost and really to a much larger extent, a function of the fact that at least here at Templewood, units are not used and abused, so to speak.
No, just.
Yeah.
I'm getting a lot of reasonable to transfer units. And a lot of those don't fight it type of things, you will end up with the commission again, so.
If it's available.
Again, you know, it's, we have to be really conscious of if we can make a unit more than acceptable, I guess. If we can turn a unit over without having to paint the entire department, that's what we do. Now, the exception to this is if we pull up carpet because the carpet is old, has to be replaced. Oftentimes the tiles underneath the carpet will come up, and there are still a few units where the old asbestos tiles are in place, and generally when we pull up the tiles, same time, release some of them. Rather than having that done in-house, we just want someone to come in with necessary experience. But again, as you may recall, the tiles are in and of themselves are not the problem. The problem is that if they get broken, there is a chance that the asbestos is friable, and we just don't want to take it. We'd rather farm that out to a firm that specializes in that.
Thanks to be ground up.
Yeah, they're grounding up and smart with essential. Oh, yeah, they don't do that. Right. I did add something to Gretchen's report. We made a decision after the fire / water damage at Sheldon Towers, to go in and install, ratios. The property is not built with ratios originally, in part to address air quality, but quite frankly, the rationale was, the ability to install the fire suppression canisters. And those fire suppression canisters, you can't say that's fire was such that it started outside of the range area. Be that as it may, the ranges will now allow us to install the fire out. That was called fire out canisters, so that this would get addressed. It would be put out before it spread, or certainly before it initiated the sprinklers. These heads are currently installed in all of our other properties, so we wanted to be able to do that in Sheldon. So it's we have finalized a contract with Hanover Green, and they'll be coming in and installing the raises, and then we'll go in and we'll procure it to install, because it's a heck of a lot cheaper for us to do it. That the contract should be signed today or tomorrow. It has multiple benefits.
Possibly outside.
You know, I don't think so. I don't, but let me verify that. Sounds a question I had. They don't really.
It's a light and then the canister will go underneath.
It's a filtering system, but of course that will require maintenance to go in during annual inspections and replace that our clean filters. Unfortunately, vented systems back in the 70s were either not a possibility or not included in the project budgets. I'm not sure. So really, with the exception of the trees and bridge, the template obviously don't have the systems that made an enormous expense.
What's that little canister out there? Or is it smoke or what?
Fire.
Does it?
What's your name?
I'm going to turn it over to Carl initially, since she's our second guru and is doing a lot of work to get our files in order for the review upcoming year.
So what we decided on as a team, Greg and I, Greg has been very helpful, and Cheryl, is that the past year is the past year. We're striving now to put Rutland Housing Authority in place where when the HUD inspector comes next year in May, I'm hoping that you will receive at least a 99% score, which will automatically place you as a high performer. They'll be off your backs. But in trying to do that, we're getting the CMAP indicators in line. Cheryl is handling keeping your inspections current. We're working very heavily with the landlords to make improvements and corrections before the end of a inspection month. Because if they do, then I don't take their hat. They're very motivated by knowing that they're going to get their money. And I don't have to take anything back. So that seems to be working. So it's basically, we're working at more than full capacity, cleaning up all the backlog that was left. It just seems like every time Greg and I pick up a file, we find something in it. Leases aren't signed. When I do an audit, it's just papers of notes. You have to do this, and that. So we're doing the best we can do.
Thank you.
Yeah. That was really good. Yep. Yep. Anything else? To report? That's Steve also, so I just want to, before I interrupt it, I want to give you an opportunity.
Have you been through all the files yet, or,
Oh, no.
not quite yet, you've been here how long?
A few hundred. And then a lot of papers.
Few hundred?
You have 400 records for me
Okay.
to audit. An audit, depending on what's in it, can take me hours because I don't audit and put it aside. I audit and correct this.
And get the thing done.
And that can take time to correct it too, because you have, you know,
I
eight
gotta
to
call
tenants.
the tenant, I gotta call the landlord, I gotta put, then
Okay.
it's a lot, and I'm also working
A lot of stuff,
on.
yeah, a lot of stuff catching up. And
And also working on the unreported income. I'm working on, the repayment agreement for fraud. Going to cancel vouchers because we have some people who in a year have not made a payment. And that violates the repayment. So they're done.
So
That's it.
big changes in section 8. Now, we made a decision to expand, because Carla didn't have enough to do. We are including all the, going beyond the housing choice voucher program, the Main Street program, to include the red PPP files as well. But right now, our focus is on HCV and Main Street.
Yeah.
Moving on, we are in the midst, actually, I should say, my colleague in Springfield and I, but primarily my colleague in Springfield, are working on changes to the Section 8 administrative plan. Frankly, we are going to take a very much by the book approach. The flexibility around local preferences, we're going to have to realize that because simply we don't have the resources to provide for that level of flexibility anymore. The cash flow tracking and HAP funding and projected HAP expense reports are in your black file folder. I will tell you that this was our best guess in the absence of renewal funding. Finally came out last week. These reports will, you'll see fundamental changes based on what the money we actually have to work with, the projection of what we have to work with. You'll see that even with the absence of the renewal funding, based on our PHP accountants analysis, we are out of shortfall for both housing choice and Main Street. The HAP contract for Maplewood Commons, aka 133 Forest Street, continues to be on hold. We can't issue any new ventures. We can't enter into any project-based structure HAP contracts. It is going to be a hardship for Cornerstone because their project was approved by the funding sources with this Section 8 component, and indeed their financial, I think, the extent to which project cash flows is also dependent on Section 8 subsidy. So,
So they go to Main Street, or, excuse me, market rate?
no, they can't because there's income restrictions, just like there is Gretchen referenced the tenant that is moving over from one of our Hickory buildings to Maplewood Commons. Thankfully, that tenant has an existing housing choice structure, so she can exercise affordability feature. We're not dependent on project-based structures from that area. They got one. They got one. You're right. Very good. Thank you. So that, Mr. Chair, concludes the formal agenda. I would ask that we move into executive session if the board is so inclined.
Motion to move into executive session. Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Thank
Thank you very much, everybody.
Let's go the other. No, it doesn't have to stay. Did you make some stuff? Lindsay?
No, they're homemade though.
We do, it's executive session, so there's, yeah, that's the.
And you do a change that's.
No, it's not.
Yes, I can't go into work.
No.